There is an exhaustion that comes when you start awakening, not just from the world around you, but from the old self, the self you created to survive the world. That created self that helps you survive is the same self that that has exhausted you. This is what I've been looking at. And letting go of that self felt like you losing yourself because it's so familiar. It's so familiar for us to create the space. It's so familiar for us to be doing everything for ourselves instead of just being, because that's who we thought we were. The personality, the image, if I may, the role, the one who had to keep doing, the one who had to become something, the one who had to create a life instead of simply being life. And maybe that is why this part of the journey feels so tiring, because you're not just tired from what is happening around you, you're tired from maintaining those different versions of ourselves that we had to become to survive this world that we're born into. I think this is something you begin to feel deeply when you're shifting from the old self into your true self. This is the exhaustion that comes from trying to be someone, trying to keep becoming something, because that's what the world teaches. Not that it teaches, but it shows us that. Trying to maintain a personality, a role, an image, a story. At first, I didn't understand the feeling. I just knew something in me was tired. And it's not a physical tiredness. It's tired of effort. And even after the shift, there's a tiredness there too, because if you find yourself wanting to become spiritual, that for me exhausts me. Because here I am in the spiritual sense, becoming something else. My old self was trying to be seen. I needed to be seen, to feel something, to feel alive. I needed to be chosen by something or someone. Tired. Now I'm tired of trying to keep up with all of that. You get tired of becoming a better version of what you realize wasn't really your true self. Because we are so used to doing. We are so used to fixing, improving. And even in the spiritual realm, we bring the ways of the old self over into spirituality, learning how to manifest the life you want, learning how to heal yourself. That is all becoming something for me. And that there's an exhaustion that comes. I feel it deep within me that comes when I'm trying to do all of this. Even after you start to move from the old self to your new true self, those ways from the old self defaults over if we're not careful. You see it. There can still be this idea that you have to manifest the life you want. But what I realize is when you are simply being, this is true manifestation. This is effortless manifestation. You're not trying to create a life. You are life itself. Not because you're pulling in things, but you're lacking nothing here. You're whole, you're full. So life reflects that back to you. So you're not creating a life or creating this identity in spirituality. It's really because you're no longer living from the one that has to maintain all of that. This, to me, is true self-discovery, not finding another identity, but unbecoming the one that takes so much effort for us to keep alive. And this is where the created self becomes more obvious for me, because when you begin to experience moments of just being, moments of stillness, the mind brings the old ways of the self. It brings back the old life, a memory, a feeling, a thought, a feeling that makes you feel lonely, a desire, a fear, and the story of all of that. It brings anything, the mind brings anything back to us to pull our attention away from what is present. Because the old self, the created self, does not know how to be still. And that's why we have to continue to maintain the old self, because it does not know how to be still. It needs constant attention. It only knows how to survive, because those self, the personalities that we carry with us before awakening, now in the awakening, you're recognizing them. Those are formed from fear, through chaos, through pain and hurt, through needing to be something in order to feel safe. So when stillness begins to reveal your true essence, the old self becomes restless. And that's the restlessness you feel. And that's when you get, not that you feel, the restlessness that is there, but there's an exhaustion that comes from all of that noise and that restlessness. I wonder if this is coming across to you. I'm trying to word the feeling for you. And so I find that when I am just simply being, that the restlessness of the old self becomes more apparent. I see it more, because stillness shows you what has been moving inside of you, if that makes sense. It shows you the part of you that still wants recognition. It shows you the old habits, the old patterns coming from that old self. It's not, for me, one and done in awakening. You're unbecoming in stillness, in being present. You see the parts of you that want stimulation, the parts of you that need a story to identify with. The ego wants recognition. So it tries to pull your attention. And it can only do that through that old self. The old self needs the story. Presence does not. Presence is. And that is why the mind tries to pull you away from the present moment, the now, presence, stillness. Because if you remain still long enough, you may realize you are not the one the old self was protecting. See, the old self tells you have to protect yourself. That's what the old self tells you. And it shows up in spirituality by seeking ways of how to protect your energy. But in stillness, in the quiet, you are the awareness beneath it, the old self, the created self. Beneath all of the layers of identity, that is your essence. You are the awareness. That was the recognition for me. The self that protected me at one point was the same self preventing me from knowing myself deeply. The same personality that kept me living through fear, because it only knows survival, and that when that created self begins to dissolve, you feel like you're lost, you feel disoriented, you feel out of place. You might start feeling bored, like you need to reach for something, grab a hold of something. You need to find something familiar from the old self to hold on to, because that emptiness, that space, the old self becomes very restless. You recognize that is because we never truly knew ourselves. We had to keep reaching for something to hold on to. What we knew was the old self, the self that gets restless in the background of who we truly are, even now. This happened to me the other day. I was sitting in silence, and immediately in the background there was something reaching for something. This is hard to hear for the person who's not unbecoming yet, because there's still an image being carried. And that image carries personality, it carries roles, it carries perspective, attachments, need to be seen in a certain way. But this is for those who are quietly realizing this. Just like myself, I am no teacher here. I am you. And what I realize is that healing is not becoming a different version, a better version of yourself, or a better personality. It's unbecoming the person that is trying to become better and just being, if that makes sense, and recognizing the wholeness that was already here. And that's what the old self tries to do. And that's why you feel exhausted. Sometimes there's this exhaustion that is there because even the ones that's trying to heal gets exhausted. Exhausted from constantly maintaining a state of trying to feel peaceful, trying to appear healed, trying to become more spiritual, trying to become better. But what your soul wants is rest. True rest is effortless. It's effortless. The created self will try to rob you of truly experiencing inner peace. The old self will try to rob you of the joy of being quiet. Because that old self is always looking for something to do. It needs to be relevant. But stillness, that stillness is the practice. And the practice is you. I did not know I was meditating until I was. I did not know I was truly praying until I was. Because when you're truly being, you're not trying to create a moment. You're not trying to perform. You are simply here. And maybe that is what the old self fears. Because if you remain still and do not try to create the moment, then silence will become you. Have you ever looked into the clouds? Just look up and look at the clouds. And when you are moving, you do not notice them moving as much, isn't it? You don't notice the cloud moving as much, but when you are still, you see the movement. That is how awareness feels to me. The person I was always needed to change with what was changing, but now I can simply be. I don't need constant stimulation. I don't need to chase a story. I don't need to keep becoming someone. The being is effortless. The old self or another self that we're creating, it takes effort. The role takes effort. The image takes effort to maintain. Trying to be seen takes effort. Trying to maintain a personality takes effort. And that is the exhaustion. That is the exhaustion that you feel. Not that awakening is exhausting in itself, but that awakening makes you aware of how exhausting it has been to live as the created self, the old self. And every time I default back into old ways, I feel this exhaustion. The self I created to be happy, to be somebody, it exhausts me to fit in, to be understood, to be seen. It exhausts me now. It tires my spirit. And I do not claim to be fully there. I can only speak from where I am now. Because that's all we have is now. There was a time when I wanted to be somebody. Now I want to be nothing, not in a hopeless way, but in a free way. I'm not here for fame or fortune. I'm not here to fool anyone because then I would be the fool. I don't want to perform myself in front of you. I don't want to keep becoming an image for you. I'm nothing. In front of you, I'm here to meet you. as presence. I don't want to be seen as something. I would much rather be felt. And that can only come from being. It's not something to do. You can only be this. There is no effort in being. It is effortless. It's the effortless being. And the exhaustion was never to break you. It comes to show us that we were never meant to keep carrying the weight of personality of that created old self. It's your soul asking for rest, not by becoming someone more spiritual or new, but by being what has always been here. Love and gratitude. Thank you for listening.